Hello and welcome back to my FPL channel. I'm FPLD Unit and today you are here for the game week preview, the early thoughts, my early transfer plans, my whole thinking behind what the hell I'm going to do for the basket case that is my team in game week 34. And yes, game week 33 is still ongoing. There is one game left, but everything that could potentially go wrong, I feel has gone wrong. But a lot of people are probably in the same boat. I mean, the one positive I can take out of this so far is that my bench boost was active in 32 instead of 33, because in 32, I got 6 points off the bench. If I played it this week, I would have got 2. So I suppose there's small things to look at. I am definitely on a red arrow, and I expected to be on a red arrow this week and in game week 34. I'm just hoping I'm still within like the top 4,000 teams by the end of game week 34, because then I'll have 2 chips left in the last 4 game weeks, which should mean I should then hopefully climb back into the top 1,000, hopefully. That is the aim at the end of the season now. Obviously, I think I should be pretty safe to finish inside the top 10,000. But yes, without further ado, smash a like on the video, subscribe. The aim is to get to 2,000 subs by the end of the season, and I can't do that without your help. So please feel free to do so as well. And without further ado, let's jump straight into it. The team, 41 points is all I'm on this game week. It feels bad. It honestly feels bad. So let's just have a little recovery. We've only got 1 game left to go. Obviously, the Arsenal versus Crystal Palace game. All my eggs on any chance of getting any semblance towards positivity in tonight's game is if Saka goes ham. And I still feel quite hard done by because he had 1.39 XGI in that game versus Ipswich. He had 2 assists of an assist and somehow ended up with 1 point and was subbed before 60 minutes. Even drew a red card tackle and the dude got nothing to show for it. Unbelievably unlucky. So Raya, obviously, everyone expected him to keep a clean sheet. And to be honest, I'm actually hoping that Crystal Palace score tonight, and I don't even care who it is. Ideally, it would be Sarr or Munoz or Mateta, because that means I'm getting the points. But if I'm being realistic, I just want a goal. Ideally, a Saliba own goal could actually be the best thing, because like obviously the double Arsenal defence at the moment is obviously going a lot better than Milinkovic, who up until 87 minutes had been doing what Nottingham Forest do, and then they conceded to the Pigeon. And obviously he went down to 2 points. So that was very disappointing. Guardiola didn't do much in the second game. I always thought that the Aston Villa versus Man City game was not really going to give us that many points, and ironically it didn't, except if you owned Marcus Rashford. I don't think anyone really realistically owned any of the Man City assets that delivered points in this game. Goavi obviously with 7 is okay. Munoz with 5 has been okay. Obviously he's better than -1 in the previous double game week, so that's good. Sarr's obviously on 2. Salah, I mean the Salah versus Marmoush versus Saka captaincy, all the numbers after the 2 games for Marmoush, 1 for Salah and 1 for Saka, are very even in terms of XGI. But can Saka actually show up in the second game? That is going to be the key. I'm hoping he starts. I'm hoping he returns, repay a bit of the faith I've shown in making him captain this week. De Bruyne obviously bought him for Palmer, so I'm 4 points better off this week. But now I'm 2 players less off in game week 34. So realistically, I've covered a -4 this week by moving for De Bruyne for Palmer for the extra 4 points I got this week. But in reality, I expected more from De Bruyne, if I'm being brutally honest. He played literally 90 minutes both games and only gets 6 points. Doesn't feel good. I know he got the bonus point in the game against Villa, 1 bonus point, and kept a clean sheet. But other than that, he's done nothing to warrant that transfer. And reality, I probably should just never have done it. Mateta, obviously 2 points from the first game. At least he made 60 minutes. Isaac, I mean, there was no one on the bench that got me any points anyway, so it didn't even matter. 2 points there from him. And Marmoush's vice captain got 4 points. So again, anyone that triple captain this week, and I'm so glad I didn't press the triple captain button, because that would have just topped off the waste of my bench boost chip last week with a triple captaincy this week. I do feel really bad for anyone that played the triple captain this week and went with Marmoush. 12 points from a triple captain feels unbelievably bad. So, yeah, all I can say is my sympathies go out to you. I know what it feels like. Last week I played my bench boost for 6 points, and I've had benchings all season long with massive amounts of points. Did not feel good at all. On the bench, obviously, I left for Brugge on 1 point. I hope he does something this week. Jacob Murphy, 2 points. Kukurea, 1 point. And Dan Burn with an own goal, -2. I mean, that's hurt a lot of bench boosters. And the fact that Wan-Bissaka obviously didn't play, and Areola conceded in the 90th minute as well. A lot of bench boosters this week. I have seen a couple of good ones, but the majority from what I can see in general haven't been overly flash. The early notes then, ahead of game week 34. Moving for a double this week outside of Watkins, who really only played one game. He only played 82 minutes. I think he came on for the last 14, so he played 96 minutes over the 2 games. Just shows how overrated double game weeks are. Like so far, I mean, Arsenal might change that. They could, Saliba could get a goal and then all of a sudden he's got 20 odd points. Oh, that's who you should have got. But yeah, I'm not really too sure. Saka might pop off as well. But again, I said this from the beginning. That's why I'm so annoyed with myself that I moved for De Bruyne and wasted a transfer, and now I'm going to have to take either a -4 or -8 to field 11 players this week because I only have 9 with my free transfers. I was in my own head. I had my own strategy. I went against it. I don't know if it was because I was feeling unwell. Maybe it was. But again, I said this double game week wasn't going to be overly good. And at the moment, bar tonight's game, it hasn't been any good. I mean, the fact I'm on 41 points, still got 5 players to play. I'm not expecting anything over 60, to be honest with you, unless Saka obviously goes ham, and then potentially I'm looking at a much better score. And I am on a decent red arrow. I've gone from 904, and I think I'm sitting on about 2014 at the moment. If Saka pops off, I'll probably finish inside the top 2K, and I'll be quite happy with that. As I said, I expected a red arrow this week. I wasn't playing a chip, and I'm not playing one in 34. So I'm expecting one the next 2 weeks. But then from 35 to 38, I'm expecting green arrows. Well, hopefully green arrows, touch wood. I've got 2 chips to play. It is to be expected. As I said before, anyone that captains Saka can feel unlucky. I feel very unlucky. He didn't return off 1.39 XGI. He dominated in that game. That first 57 minutes he was on the field for, he was brilliant. He missed a couple of really gilt-edged chances. He had 2 assists of assists. It was just one of those unlucky moments. And if you also captain him, hopefully the FPL gods are with us tonight and they let him return. That would be very nice. Also, how good are the Brentford boys now? 114 points between them over the last 8 game weeks. I'm going to have a look at that in a little bit longer, but in a little bit of more time. It might actually be 112. I might have actually typoed that up. I've just realized that in my head how many points they've got, and I think I might have added that up wrong. It's 112 or 114 points over the last 8 game weeks. Either way, that's insanely good. Man United and Tottenham are clearly focused on Europe, and they should just be targeted. They've even the FDR is actually upgraded them to a green team to play against, which I find quite amusing being a United fan, but they're not wrong. We are rubbish. And I think Bournemouth actually, no one's talking about Bournemouth on free hit this week, but I think their assets are amazing this week. I wouldn't be surprised if they kept a clean sheet and they scored a boatload of goals against Man United, who are definitely going to be all focused on the Europa League this week. The return of popular assets. Oh, mate, I can't wait to say this. Woody the Woodpecker is back, and he's back with a bang, back with the bonus points as well. Cunha obviously is back as well, but he's now had 2 returns his last 2 weeks. And who's the best to have between now and the end of the season? That's the key. I'm not actually too sure who is the best, and I'm going to try and break it down for you in this video. But we're going to start with the best doubler so far. And I know I'm probably going a game early, and hopefully Saka comes out with like 2 goals and 2 assists and ends up with like 22 points or something. And then all of a sudden I'm like, he's going to be in Friday's video. But at the moment, game week 33, Ollie Watkins is the top scorer, and literally from just the one of the 2 games. He literally played 12 minutes and got booked. So he didn't actually get any points from the second game at all. This is all from the first game. And he only had an XGI of 0.01 in the second game as well. So 1 goal, 1 assist when he started, 12 points, 3 bonus, XGI of 0.51 in that game against Newcastle. And obviously, as I said, 0.01 in that game against Man City overnight. He was good. I mean, realistically, maybe the move I should have done was Isaac to Watkins. I would have been much happier. But I don't think so. You've still got to worry about Emery with that. And Isaac this week, in theory, should be an amazing asset, especially against Ipswich. I'm not too concerned about that at this moment in time. The assistant manager comparison, though, and this does not read well for the table bonus again this week. And it hurts me saying this. It honestly hurts me saying this. I feel like the red card ruined any chance of Glasner being able to get a result against Bournemouth. And I feel like the fact that they could keep him out for pretty much 49 minutes with the extra injury time and that added on, it just feels bad. It feels bad for the people that play the assistant manager chip 31 to 33. And I would have done this 100%. I would have just played it on Glasner. And unfortunately, it's not worked out very well. I mean, he got 2 points in double game week 32 from the 2 games. And at the moment, he's on 5 from the 1. And obviously, he's got to travel away to Arsenal. And are Palace really going to play all their good assets tonight? I'm not sure they do, because I think they're going to be quite concerned with the FA Cup and like making sure they have a good team for that. So that in itself, it just doesn't feel overly good, if I'm being brutally honest. And I think that, yeah, I'm just not sure. I'm really not sure whether this is going to improve. But at the moment, Arteta's looking amazing. If he wins this game, he's going to be on 22 points, most likely. Yeah, a 4-0 win obviously helped against Ipswich. I do expect Palace to score in this game. If that's anything, I do expect Palace to score, which means that I think 10 should be about the limit, which means that anyone that played it on Howe and then moved it to Arteta are probably going to be up on the same amount of points from the assistant manager chip as I got playing it on Moyes to Emery to Glasner, which was 56 points. I think they're on track for something very similar. So I'm actually hoping that Crystal Palace do Arsenal in, because I really want Glasner people to sit there and have some love. And I said all season long, table bonus is where you play it. And it just would feel bad that it, and the 2 decent game weeks that looked like it was going to work, that it didn't work. Yeah, I hope it doesn't go that way. I really honestly don't. So the captaincy choice in double game week 33. This just feels bad. Like the XGI, just look at it. Mo Salah, he did not have 1 assist. I don't know why I've written 1 assist there. I think that was from the week before. He had an XGI of 1.15 compared to Marmoush's 1.19 and Saka's 1.39 after. Saka's obviously only after 1 game. Marmoush's XGI for the 2 games is 1.19 combined. And Salah got pretty much the same from 1 game versus Leicester. How Salah did not return against Leicester, I've got no idea. I watched that game. I thought he was going to score at least twice. Could have had a hat-trick in the first half, but he only got 3 points. Again, was quite disappointing. Marmoush, 4 points, exceptionally disappointing. Against Everton in general, I thought that he probably should have scored a couple of times as well. That's where most of his XGI came from. Against Aston Villa, he was pretty anonymous, truth be told. Saka obviously looked amazing, but at the moment, he's on the least amount of points. I mean, surely he can get 3 points tonight, right? And match Marmoush. Hopefully he gets some more. But the captaincy decision in double game week 33, anyone that captained Mbeumo, and the top scorer, I think, for this game week in general in the app, Captain Mbeumo, fantastic work. Sometimes it's just better off to ignore the double game weekers in general. And this was one of those such occasions. The Brentford boys, the past 8 weeks, these guys are unbelievably good. Brian Mbeumo and Wissa. I can't even say the other bloke's name first. That's why I've just not bothered to say it. These guys are unbelievably good. They have combined. Oh, I was right. I knew I'd got it wrong on the last one. It's 112 points combined over the last 8 weeks. That's insane. So Wissa's got 54 and Mbeumo's got 58. Now, if Mbeumo wasn't on penalties, Wissa would have outscored him quite comfortably, because I think Wissa's actually won 2 of the penalties that Mbeumo's taken over this period of time. And normally when you see Brentford score, or you flashes up on the screen, or it's an update or whatever, you just know that one of these 2 are generally involved. It's very rare you get a Brentford goal. I think the last time that Brentford got a goal that neither of them were involved throughout the entire game was West Ham, when they beat West Ham 1-0, and that was 9 weeks ago. Because I look back that far, and I was like, wow, they both didn't return yet. They won the game. I don't even know who scored in that game. But ironically, neither of these guys were involved. So let's break it down. Brian Mbeumo, 7.9 million, 58 points over the last 8 weeks. And that's off an XGI of 5.03. Now, he has had 2 penalties, I think, of his 4 goals in that time, from my knowledge and recollection of the games. He's had 2 penalties in that time, and obviously 4 assists, and he's had 8 bonus points. So he's been pretty damn good. Pretty consistent. XGI looks really good. Now, Wissa, on the other hand, 6.5 million, 54 points, XGI of 4.01 across the same period of time. So combined, they've had an XGI of 9.04, and they've combined for literally 9 goals. So they're performing at their XGI levels, which is amazing. Again, Wissa's had 2 assists, which I'm almost 100% certain both of them were 2 penalty wins for Brian Mbeumo, and he has also had 12 bonus points. So unfortunately for Wissa, he's not on penalties, which when we get to the next comparison between him, Wood and Cunha in terms of which forward to bring in this week, particularly if you're on a free hit draft or if you're on wildcard draft as well, does make for really interesting reading. And then if you look at their XGI across the season per 90, it's 0.59 XGI for Brian Mbeumo and 0.61. So Wissa's actually got higher XGI per 90 across the season than Mbeumo by 0.02. When you have them both together, and I owned them both together for a number of weeks, I was loving life. And in reality, maybe I should never have moved them on for double game weekers because these guys have just continued to deliver and deliver to go ham, and I've just kind of missed out the last few weeks. So the blank game week 34 player comparison, and this is across the season, right? And this is unbelievably tight. And obviously Wissa has missed a number of games due to injury earlier in the season. Cunha's obviously missed a number of games due to suspension, and Chris Wood has obviously missed a couple of games recently with injury. So the numbers on these are unbelievably interesting though. So Cunha, he averages 5.6 points per game. Wood averages 5.9 points per game, and Wissa averages 5.3 points per game. Now, the thing that has to be said here is that Cunha and Wood are both on penalties. All right, so when their team wins a penalty, they will take it. That's an extra easy 4 points, every time their team wins a penalty, he gets to take him. They get to take him. Wissa, unfortunately, Brian Mbeumo plays 90 minutes in every single game. Almost every single game. It's almost impossible for Wissa to be on the field to take a penalty because Brian Mbeumo is ever present. So that affects his stats significantly because if he'd been taking the penalties instead of Brian Mbeumo, his points would significantly be higher. And I would suggest that Wissa's would actually be the highest average as well. And we'll get onto that in a second. But at the moment, it's Cunha on 158 points. He costs 6.9 million. Wood also costs 6.9 million. He's on 184 points for the season. And Wissa, who costs 6.5, significantly the cheapest by a decent amount, he's scored 159 points for the season. Now, when we break it down, Cunha's got 14 goals, 5 assists. Wood has got 19 goals, 3 assists. And Wissa has got 15 goals and 5 assists. So Chris Wood, the Woody the Woodpecker, is leading with 22 attacking returns compared to Wissa 20 and Cunha 19. Now, this is where it gets a little bit more interesting. The XGI per 90 for the season is 0.49 for Matheus Cunha, 0.45 for Chris Wood the Woodpecker, and 0.61, which is significantly higher than the other two for Wissa. Now, Chris Wood has been massively overperforming, and I would argue that Cunha's been massively overperforming the XGI all season, whereas Wissa's been about where it's been at. Like, he's pretty much performed at what he's been putting up in terms of numbers. What is there anything to read into that? I'm not 100% sure there is. But then when you look at the bottom bit, and this is where it comes into. So Wissa has significantly less bonus points, 28, compared to Cunha, 38, and Chris Wood, 39. So it's almost as if Chris Wood or Cunha, when they score, they automatically get bonus points. But because Brian Mbeumo is so involved at Brentford, quite often when they score, Wissa doesn't even end up with the bonus points because Brian Mbeumo, when he scores, he generally just hogs them all. He's a bit of a bonus points monster across the season. So it's a really interesting one. And the fixtures come into this, right? So Cunha has the amazing fixture in blank game week 34. He's got Leicester. All right. So you would expect them to, he would have more of a chance of getting a big haul this week. Chris, the Woody Woodpecker, plays Wissa in blank game week 34. I'm not sure who that features, who that favours. Brentford obviously have 12 days between when they played in game week 33 compared to when they play Forest in 34. Forest could be on an absolute high post potentially beating Man City in the FA Cup, or they could be on a complete low. Is this going to affect the game? Does this make Wissa a better option? But then following this week, Wissa in 35 has Manchester United, followed by a very easy fixture in 36 against Ipswich. And Wissa and Mbeumo bullied Ipswich the last time round. And then Chris Wood in 36 has Leicester. I mean, all the fixtures are really good for all these free forwards. You could argue that they're probably the best forwards to own across the front three for the end of the season. I think Cunha's fixtures compared to the other two from 35 to 38 are significantly worse than for what Chris Wood and Wissa have. But it's a very interesting conversation. And I originally was just going to move Mateta to Cunha. And the reason why I've watched Cunha rise in price is because I don't need to worry about the price. But I've now looked at these three options and I'm really unsure because whoever I bring in, I want to keep to the end of the season. So based on these numbers, based on the fixtures that are coming up, not just based on this week, which forward are you buying out of Cunha, Wood and Wissa? Let me know in the comments. I'm intrigued to know what everyone else is thinking. So the FDR for game week 34, and I just wanted to update this only because of the fact you can see that two teams have been given dark green. So whenever anyone is playing Southampton or they're playing Leicester, they are now classified as 1 on the difficulty level. They're literally classified as 1. When teams are playing Manchester United now and Tottenham, they are also considered as a 2 green team. It's unbelievable. And especially when they're playing away from home. So, I mean, I just thought it was really interesting. I wanted to share it. It's something that definitely looks a little different. And what is there to note there? Nothing other than the fact that what I've said already. I still think that West Ham against Brighton this week, I think that's going to be a really good fixture moving forward. And all the other fixtures I covered in my video on Monday are still very relevant. These are still the 8 teams to target: Wolves, Brentford, Fulham, West Ham, Newcastle, Forest, Bournemouth, and Liverpool. I don't think you can go too far wrong. I mean, some people have talked about the Chelsea assets against Everton. I'm not convinced on that game one iota, especially considering it's post the Conference League or pre the Conference League, whichever way you want to put it. I'm not sold. I'm kind of regretting having bought Cucurella. I wish back in the day I'd bought Aït-Nouri instead, but it is one of those things. I bought Cucurella. It didn't work out. Hopefully it works out this week. He's got one more week to prove his worth. So just really quickly, I wanted to cover the difference. So some people have been wondering, where is the wildcard squad talent for this week compared to the free hit? Now, I still think that the best free hit squad is what I've got there. Squad value, 98 million. If you're free hitting this week, it just makes so much sense to have Cunha, Wissa, and Isaac. Some people might have Wood in there instead. I just think the double up Brentford just looks really good. No one's talking about Jared Bowen on free hit, but the way that Brighton have been playing, I think he's a really good shout. And as I said, Bournemouth have that Manchester United team that are definitely going to be worried about Europe. And again, Kepa and Kirkes, I reckon they're on for a double clean sheet there, to be honest with you. Again, Jacob Murphy, Burn, they could be Livramento or Trippier or Shah or a Barnes and a Gordon. It's really up to you. I've just put them in there. I still think I expect goals to be in that Brentford Nottingham Forest game. So I just think that's the best squad. I've seen other ones with loaded up Fulham defense. I'm not convinced. I just feel like Southampton are going to score in that game. And I don't really rate any of the other Fulham assets, to be honest with you, compared to the other ones that I picked in this team. So let me know what you think in the comments. In terms of a wild card squad, I still think that you need to keep some of these players that are on blank game week. So I think Marmoush, Guavio, and Raya are the 3, and Saliba are the 4 that I will be keeping, and then just benching them this week. And then you can rotate your players around from that throughout the rest of the season. Again, that squad comes at 104.1 million team value. And again, I think that's something potentially you need to look at. So just really quickly, I've already covered this in great detail on Monday. I don't want to waste too much time on it, but that is essentially where I'm going with that. And then on to my team, lastly, how I'm looking. So as I said, I've already made that one transfer. Kevin De Bruyne out for Brighton Mbeumo. At the moment, I am currently playing with 8 players, which doesn't feel overly good. And I am weighing up the odds of whether it's worth getting a 9 or 10. Playing with 9 players or playing with 11 or playing with 10. I don't know if it's worth taking a -8, but the one player that will definitely be leaving for free will be Mateta. As I said, it will be between Cunha, Wood, and Wissa. It just depends on whether I want to, if I go for Wissa, right, I want Wissa regardless, post this week. There is a world where potentially I move. Ironically, I think the other move is Ismail Assar almost 100% will come Jared Bowen as well. I really like Jared Bowen, and as I said, he features on my wildcard and my free hit squads this week. I think he looks really good. And then Saka's the other one. The only problem is that there's no other real standout option that I really like this week. So, like, part of me thinks that maybe what I will do instead is get Isak and then transfer out Marmoush and Mateta. I mean, I could easily transfer out Isak for Marmoush 436 later on. I'm more than open to that. But then it also, maybe it's Wood and Wissa instead of Cunha. So Wood, Wissa, and Isak up front. Be a bit of a differential lineup against all these people that are definitely going to be picking Cunha in their teams. It's either going to be a stroke of genius on my part or a stroke of absolute madness. But either way, I think that potentially might be where I'll go. I've looked at my defense, and post this week, Bird and Kukurea are going to be stuck on the bench till the end of the season. I'm quite happy rolling with Milinkovic, quite happy rolling with Glavio with the fixtures, and Munoz. That I might move one of those defenders, like Kukurea or Burn, since I've got the funds, to someone that's got better fixtures over this period of time. But other than that, I'm quite happy with that. In terms of the midfield, Mbeumo, Salah, happy to keep them. Obviously, Jacob Murphy, he'll be in the firing line next week to be moved out of the team. But if I move Bowen, I'll have Bowen, Salah, and Mbeumo, Saka. And then my transfer next week will be moving Jacob Murphy to someone else, which feels pretty good on paper. So I'm looking at it from that perspective, and potentially we will get an announcement before game week 35 in terms of expected doubles, or if there's going to be no doubles, or if there's going to be expected blanks, or if there's no blanks. So that's something to keep in mind. But that's how the team's looking at the moment ahead of blank game week 34. So let me know what your early thoughts are in the comments. I am intrigued to know which forward you really do rate out of Cunha, Wood, and Wissa. It is a really tough choice, and I don't think anyone has actually looked at it as intrinsically as hopefully I've given it to you in this video. Before you go, I will be back on Friday with a team selection video. I am traveling back from Thailand to Australia tomorrow. Tom hopefully will be joining me. I've sent him a message today. He's been out of action for Saturday's deadline stream, but there will definitely be a deadline stream on Saturday. I'm back. It'll be at the normal time. And because of the fact I've missed the last two, I'm going to do a 3-hour deadline stream. So I'm going to get an extra hour of content there, so you can come and ask me all your questions you want, drop in. And if you made it all the way through to the end of this, smash a like on the video, subscribe if you haven't already done so, and I'll see you on Friday for team selection. That's been the D Unit.